So, one thing about me is that if I'm craving food, I'm going to figure out how to make it. And then I'll go figure out by way of going to an actual proper restaurant and making sure that I got the dish correct. In this case, it's dumplings. Although this kind of happened in reverse. My recent trip to Vancouver, I was exposed to some really, really good dumplings, and I decided that I just need to make my own. There's no further question about that. But then again, in my neck of the woods, the local QT is like delicacies for the area. They have the best grilled cheese. It's just the finest. So instead of using ground pork, just basic ground pork, I actually ended up having to get Italian sausage because that's what the grocery store had. And I was not about to walk up to the meat counter and say, hey, can you make me some ground pork? I'm sure they would have done it, but unfortunately, I just don't like talking to people when I'm out in public. I know, crazy, right? So what I did is I took the shrimp and chopped them up as best I could. I'm not a chef. I love to cook, but I am not formally trained in any form of fashion, so my knife work it's at best passable. So I will say that anybody that is following this particular video for instructions, I'm going to kindly suggest that you actually go and look up how to cut things properly. At some point I will get there, but whatever. I do think that it's quite interesting just going through the process of, and figuring out ingredients. And then my biggest thing is figuring out how I can deviate, because I honestly, if you tell me that something has to be a certain way, I'm going to look at you, laugh in your face, and figure out how to make it in a way that I would like it. And in this case, my dumplings consisted of shrimp, hot Italian sausage, and also, drum roll, greens. That's going to come in a little bit. So I decided that I wanted to do something different because, quite frankly, going to the store to follow a recipe to the T is expensive. It's really expensive, and I don't think a lot of people really appreciate, especially with things like dumplings, how much you can deviate from what a recipe says. And so in this instance, chopped up my shrimp as best I could. I probably should have put them in the fruit processor, and that would have probably made my life infinitely better, but I did not do that. Next time for sure. So I like the idea of just using materials that I have on hand. So while in this case I did go to the grocery store to pick out a couple things, what I intended to do was basically just be different and also utilize the things that I actually did have in my fridge, which were the collard greens and the green onions, and a few other things that I don't really show here because for whatever reason I decided to off-road with even my own filming, so I will tell you exactly what is missing. So here we have the shrimp and the Italian sausage that I did not take out of the container because, why would I do that on the recording? I also had to deal with the fact that it was a lot stickier than I intended it to be. But here you see I chopped up the collards and I chopped up the green onions and I put them in the dish. So that way it kind of gives me that nice bite of something semi-healthy. And I figured that if I, for whatever reason, decided to fry the dumplings, that maybe, just maybe, this might give me a little twinge of me feeling like I'm being healthy. Spoiler alert, this was not healthy by any stretch of anybody's imagination. And I only do this to, it's really just to kind of a continual lie to myself, honestly. So with making this mixture, I also put in a little bit of cooking wine as well as a little bit of soy sauce. So it was a lot more moist than I decided that it should have been. Again, these are things that I kind of learned and will adjust for the next time that I decide that I want to sink 2 or 3 hours into not only recording but making dumplings. And let me tell you right now, have something comfortable to stand on because holy crap. So my initial plan of using a plate to make the dumplings individually didn't really work out that well, and I ended up transferring everything over to a sheet cookie sheet because, well, it's just a large space. And in doing that, there was a lot of stickiness involved. I always have like a little like thing of water on hand as well, so that way you can kind of just keep things moving on more of an assembly line. I am actually going to recruit help next time because that was a lot of work for a singular person just to do it for a video. Yeah, I'm definitely scaling down my food a little bit. But here, you at the edges of the dumpling, you seal them in any way you like. I didn't have a consistency on how I folded them. I just decided to fold them the easiest way that I could, and just to make sure that they were closed so that way when I cooked them, the filling would not fall out. I think I managed to get a 90% success rate on that, so I'm pretty excited about it, honestly. And some of the pieces did have a little bit more green, some of the pieces did have a little bit more shrimp. That was really even. So if I were to give myself one critique, I think it would be just put everything in a food processor and blend it. You're still going to get the same flavors anyway. The taste is still going to be there, but it'll be an easier time with scooping it. And I believe that this would be like the smallest scoop that you can buy. I think it's like a teaspoon or whatever. That would be super helpful with this. But fortunately I was able to use every single thing that I had available to me. Now, in terms of the dumplings, so because I steamed them, I actually did not have a proper steam basket to use for the dumplings. So I decided to be cheap and not buy the stackable, foldable bamboo steamers. I just bought some little silicone thing that I could throw in an Instant Pot. And by the way, the Instant Pot, make sure you like, subscribe, tell all your friends, or don't tell all your friends. I'm not a cop. Do what you want.